Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. If you are watching the replay, welcome in and bear with me because I'm going to give it some time for folks who are just joining. And I am looking forward to this, you guys. I have been kind of away for some time, and I'm going to explain why that is, what's been going on. It's been a lot. And I'm looking forward to just spending time with you guys. This will be cool. So come on in, give me a shout out where you're watching from. That'd be awesome. Sebastian, welcome in. As you come in, just give me a shout out. Thumbs up definitely helps us. I appreciate it. Welcome back to Record-ology for 2022. It feels like it's been forever since we've done any content, and I'll explain why again here in a minute. Maggie, welcome in. Thank you so much for joining. This is going to be great. I've been looking forward to this all day. I'm like, I can't believe I finally get to go live, explain to people what's going on, where I've been, and why, and what's next, which is always my favorite topic, what's next. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. So good news, all good things. A good little sneak peek. Everything's good. So there's no bad news to be had here. But there is, as the cool kids say, some tea that I want to share with you. So got about 8 folks in so far. Give me a shout out in the comments. Would love to hear from you. If you're watching the replay, let me distinguish between the live chat and the replay. So live chat's going on right now live while we're live. And you can watch a replay of that. I believe there should be a button up there somewhere where you can watch a replay of that. But if you're watching live right now, and for those of you that are, welcome in, you can chat live. If you're not watching live, in the comments below, engage with me there as well. 10 people in, only 3 people have said hi. Wayne, let's hope it's a better year. Yes, please, Lord, yes. Wayne, welcome in. Annan Hart, do you have any interest in Lost Wave? I don't know anything about Lost Wave. Tell me about it. Josh Williams, do you know if the Beatles 2012 records are out of print or just out of stock? I do not know. My guess would be that they are out of stock, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Everything is out of stock right now. Yeah, it's amazing. It's hard to get your hands on anything, absolutely anything right now. So that would be my initial guess. So what are you guys doing? What's the new year like for you guys so far? What's the weather like here in Denver, Colorado? It is snowing, and it is cold out. It is probably 20 degrees out right now. It's a little too cold for my blood, especially where I was recently. It was a little different. Check out Lost Wave when you get a chance. I will. Thank you for the tip. And yeah, tell me what you guys are up to. Questions. This is totally, I got a few things I want to mention, some updates and things, let you know what I've been up to, what's been going on. And then I really mostly just want to spend time with you guys, and I want to hear from you, answer any questions you have. They can be about record stuff or not. They can be about anything. Mostly I'm just excited to hang out with you guys. I literally, my wife will tell you, she's like, he loves nothing more than just hanging out doing the show. So I just want to have the chance to do that. So I'm thankful for that. Okay, so we got about 11, 12 people in here. So basically, here's what's been going on and why the shows have been kind of few and far between over the last couple of weeks. Larry, welcome in. Liked seeing your travels in Vlogmas. Thank you so much. Yeah, the Vlogmas was fun. And for those of you that missed the Vlogmas, we were setting out to give away a record player, which we did, and about 10 other record players too. So we ended up clearing out a lot of the record players that we had in storage. Some of them new, some of them nearly new. And we gave a record player to everybody who answered the Vlogmas question correctly over on my wife's channel, Beyond the Purple Suitcase. By the way, go over there and hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. That was fun. The lady at the post office is glad that's over with, though. It was chaos. It was absolute, utter chaos. But the good news is I've got all tons of room now for new record players. I still have way too many. It's ridiculous, but it was great to share the love. there are a lot of record players that come in and out of here, and this house is sort of the record player depot. So I'm always looking for an opportunity to get those into the hands of people that deserve them and want them. Hopefully people that can't afford them otherwise. That would be ideal. I don't know of any other vinyl record YouTube show, or come to think of it, any YouTube show that gives away record players, but we do it all the time. And that was a blast. So thank you so much, Larry, for joining us. That was awesome. Also got tons of cards and nice letters and gifts from people. It was just a wonderful Christmas. But so that leads me to my story. Christmas is never ending, and Christmas is not over yet for us. I'll tell you why in a minute. I want to get caught up on comments. Hit me up with the, give me a shout out, give me a question. Let's get this thread going here. Michael says, is the U-turn turntable a good upgrade after your first turntable? It is. I like the turntable from U-turn. It's pretty much all the same one. So if you get the basic, which is like $175, or the top of the line, which is like $500, it's pretty much the same turntable. It's just little bells and whistles added onto it, or material differences, but you get the same. It's basically one model. It is the U-turn turntable with different materials, colors, etc. And I think it's great. I've always liked it. I've reviewed all of them, and I hope they come out with another one because I like to review another one. It's a great product. People have disagree with me about that, saying that they really hate that you have to, change the belt for every speed change, which I get. The belt is a little clumsy when you're not used to dealing with it at first. There's no divot or anything on the platter. It just literally is wrapped around the outside edge. And if you have it on the larger cog setting, because it's a 1-speed motor, it uses gear ratio to change speeds, then, it can get stretched a little bit. And so I've always been able to get it to still go back to 33, but it feels loose at first. And you're like, what, is this really going to work? Once you get past that, and if you're okay with that, then there's no other issue I can think of. It sounds great. It's a great product. I mean, everything's preset in terms of anti-skate and counterbalance. I think people don't like that either, but I personally think it's great. I think it's a great upgrade. If you want a very involved manual experience, it is not automatic in any sense of the word. It is very basic, but it's very pure because you really feel like you're just listening to your cartridge. You know what I mean? You feel like you're not having a bunch of electronics in the mix. It's a piece of wood with a motor and a direct connection to that cartridge. You can get a preamp if you need one or want one. But yeah, I think it's cool. If I go silent, it's just because I'm reading. Welcome into everybody, by the way. Thank you so much. Hey, Google, stop. The Google Assistant just started playing random music. Let's see here. Ann and Hart, do you own any 33 RPM 7-inch singles? Yes, I do. Absolutely, they exist. I have some right down there. I love the compact 33s. Those are really cool. A lot of kids' records are 7-inch and 33 RPM. Absolutely. How many Elvis records do you own? I own over 100. I have an Elvis section, which is about that wide. So maybe 15, 20 records. I want more. I love Elvis. Larry says that 20. By the way, if you guys notice how Larry has this awesome little badge by his name that looks an awful lot like a 45 adapter, that is because he is a member of the Vinyl Nation, which you too can be a member of, and you get an extra show every Friday. So even though I haven't been posting a lot of content lately, we have not missed a beat on Friday shows because they are mandatory and always go out. And actually, I have a really good track record of shows going out in general. It's been a long time since I've taken a day or two off. So, and again, I'll explain what's been going on. But you too can earn badges that change color every month. Check that link out. It's on a lot of videos and stuff. The $25 player for Five Below, which educational and surprising. I was surprised how many people liked that video. That thing is going crazy. Let me see what the latest view count on it was. I thought it'd be like, I just came across it and I'm like, let's buy this. Let's review it. And it surprisingly well. All right, let's see how many views this thing has. The views lately, by the way, the channel's growth has been insane lately. I mean, Christmas is always a spike. We always get the majority of people coming in Christmas because people are researching before they buy Christmas presents, and they are researching what they got. You know what I mean? For I got a record player. I'm welcome to this. And then you got the crop of people that got a suitcase player and then got beat up on all the forums with people telling them they're going to destroy their vinyl, and then they come to here and realize that that's not necessarily the case. 154,000 views in 3 weeks on that video. That's amazing. I'm so blessed and thankful for that. So here's the thing, though, with that turntable, I don't think I have it in here. I've started to have issues with it. I have, and I've been meaning to put an update out about that, pin a comment or something. Excuse me. It's been the last time I got it out. I was doing pre-filming a video recently and and I got like 90% into this video and I couldn't get that darn thing to work. It just wouldn't spin up. Then I tried a higher power supply because it runs off of a USB, and that helped for a while, and then I wasn't getting sound out. So it's hit or miss. I mean, some people say they've had great experience with it. Some people say it never worked. Mine's worked for a while, and now it's not. I know it bears looking at again. But yeah, so far it's been hit or miss. But it's a fun video. I mean, it's a fun video. Michael says, I find that belt changing fun and a cool thing. Exactly. I do too. I like the interactive thing. Some people get so turned off by the fact that you have to change speeds or the record player is manual. I say that with an automatic right here. I love my automatic. LP3. It's my daily driver. I just can't. I've tried, I'll go to the RT80 for a while or go to the C100 for a while, and I just love this thing. I love my LP3. I love it. But, people that get so upset about a manual, it doesn't auto return. It doesn't even auto stop. It's whatever. That's, to me, I don't get that. It's like, yeah, it's a manual record player. That's what they do. So yeah, I do like that. It's all about the tactile thing. Cause for the last 20 years, we've all been streaming, tapping, not owning any music. My son still like, why do I want to own music, Dad? I don't get it. I've given him a couple record players. He's had them in there for a while, and then he's had a handful of records. He's like, Dad, I just want to download my songs and have them. The portability to him is there. And I'll talk to him. I'll be like, Tyler, the sound quality is so much better with analog, but now they got lossless streaming with Apple, which is amazing, by the way. But it's a tactile thing. I personally love to, flip through the records. You see, I got some of my record crates back here. They're set up just like a vinyl shop. In fact, I've got a sign that says a vinyl store back there. I've got it set up like a storefront because I like that. I like crate digging. I like finding a selection, pulling it out, looking at the liner notes, the whole to-do. It's the ritual that is part of it. And the sound quality is good too. And I like the warmth. And I was a very, very late comer to the whole idea of vinyl is a warm sound, and that's good. In fact, I've done shows talking about how the warmth you hear is distortion, which it is, and superiority from a technical standpoint of vinyl records, which they are. I mean, of CDs, which they are technically superior. But at the end of the day, I still come back and I want that experience. I want that interaction. I love that interaction. There's something about it. It slows you down. It forces you into the zone. Wayne says, I did end up importing a Gramavox vertical record player before they went out of business. I didn't know Gramavox. That's a recent company, I think. Yeah. Is that the Kickstarter? That's cool. I don't have experience with a vertical vinyl, with a vertical turntable yet. They are awesome. It looks cool. Mike says, hello from snowy Fort Collins, Colorado. Isn't it snowy? Yep. And let's see here. JD, hello from Scotland. By the way, we got 9 thumbs up with 26 people in here. If you could give me a thumbs up, just a tap, it does help. YouTube is like, oh, people are engaging, people are watching, and then they let other people know, and I would appreciate that. Marcus says hello from chilly Central City, Nebraska. I didn't know you guys had a Central City too. Elliot says, love you too, Elliot. Thank you so much. Josh says, I have a manual Audio Technica. I love it. I had issues with auto returns, stopping records too soon in the past. Yeah, that happens sometimes, especially on 45s. It thinks it's done, but it's not. You can listen to Hidden Track from Sgt. Pepper. That's awesome. JD says, love the tangibility of records. Yes. Changing the belt to another pulley. Yeah, I love the mechanics and the fiddling with it. I love that stuff. Wait, okay, it was the Kickstarter then. Got it. AJ, oh, hello to you too. Larry says, album art in 12-inch format, liner notes, inner sleeves, ads, the smell, the touch, all contribute to the fun of record collecting. Absolutely. AJ, oh, is from Kentucky. Have you had much experience with idler drive turntables? Yes, I have. In fact, I'm sitting next to one right now. I've got my this is 45J. My RCA 45J is an idler. The Gerard changer is an idler. My Fisher Price down here in a pile that you don't need to see is an idler. And we've done duals that are idler drive. And yeah, it's an interesting technology. We've covered it in extensive detail. I love it. A lot of people swear by it. Although one thing that annoys me about my Gerard is that it's fast. And it's just enough fast that you'd have to mechanically shave down the drive shaft at each cog, and I don't want to do that. It's just fast enough that it changes the pitch. Jaden, VHS Archive and Record Archive. Cool channel name. Hello to you too. Watching from a city in Sweden at 3 a.m. Well, my wife can attest to the fact that I put people to sleep, so hopefully it works for you. Thank you for watching, by the way. I appreciate that. Cape Cod Ken, I use a Sony PSFL7 II front drawer loading turntable for my occasion album. That's cool. Love idler drive. Love my Gerard 401. That's awesome, JD. Brian says hello from California. Appreciate all the videos. I've been binging them since like, oh, cool. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. It's just crazy. I thought when I started this channel, there may be 50 people that would want to listen to my rambling. And, the growth has just been, it's embarrassing, but I'm very appreciative of it. I like to refer to the tangibility of vinyl as touch your music. Yeah, literally, you're holding it. Maggie says, record collecting is such a hands-on hobby. I love the ritual of cleaning, playing a record, especially with a manual RT80. Yeah, me too. Wayne says, I have the PSFL7 too. That's awesome. Thumbs up. Thank you very much. Linear tracking. I've reviewed one linear tracking turntable. It was a Marantz from the 80s a couple years ago. What do you say would be a great starter record player? Everybody says the LP60, but there's just no better deal. There's no better bargain out there. LP60X, and there's various flavors. There's USB, there's a Bluetooth one, there's a plain one. They have them in different colors. I like the brown one. I like the red one. I like all of them. They are great. The only downside, and by the way, some of the criticisms on the first gen was that they dropped the tone arm kind of fast. They fixed that on the new X series. The new X LP120s and LP60s really did address a lot of the issues that people had with both of those products. They were improvements. They're both fantastic. They were both good, and now they're great. But there's so many good first-time record players. But if you want a manual experience, and you have the money, an LP120X USB. If you don't have as much money, an LP60. And all people always swear by used stuff, and I get that. But don't discount new stuff as well. There's something to be said about a new record player. And I think that all of you would agree that it would be foolish to write off all new stuff as bad. It's just not the case. Riga P1. I need to review some Riga stuff. I have not. Annan says, newbie record collector from Lansing, Michigan. Repeating question. Do you own any 45 12-inch singles? I do. I've reviewed a few of them. I've got a Madonna one. Where are those? They might just be mixed in. I think I've got everything sorted by genre right now. But yeah, absolutely. The idea, and if you don't know, already. The idea with a 12-inch 45 is that it's important to know that the engineer has control over the modulation width. They can control how widely spaced those grooves are. So when there's more groove space between the grooves, there's less likelihood of a shadowing effect that can happen, where if the grooves are crammed in so tightly, if there's a loud passage on the next groove coming around, the wall from that groove can be deformed because of the groove cut, and that can be heard audibly, sometimes a half one revolution prior to the sound. So sometimes you'll hear a drum hit or a vocal starting is kind of an echo or a faint sound. So the idea is that if you have more real estate, there's more space, then you can modulate those grooves wider and further apart so that the sound is separated. Another way to get around that issue is through a DMM pressing, a direct metal mastering, which is basically where instead of the record being cut into vinyl or into a lacquer master, which has the possibility of grooves deforming and taking on nuances from the groove next to it, they are cut into metal so that they're more rigid when they're mastered, and therefore when it's pressed from that master, you don't have any of that shadowing. And with DMM, they can cram a heck of a lot of music. I've got a Patsy Cline record that, I'm no joke, where is the thing? It's back there. I can't get to it gracefully. Has like 30 songs on it, full-length songs on a 12-inch vinyl record. The other thing with 12-inch 45 singles is that they are spinning faster, 45 RPM. When it comes to analog media, whether it's records or tape, especially, the faster or the more, the better. So the faster the tape is moving, the faster the vinyl is spinning, the higher the quality, because you get more real estate passing over the head in the case of tape or over the needle in the case of vinyl. So the more the merrier, real estate and speed. So with a 12-inch record, you have more real estate, and with 45 RPM, you have greater speed. So it's a higher quality thing. So it's an audio, all that to say this, 12-inch 45, that's an audiophile thing. If you're in the UK, people from the UK are always mystified why we even talk about that. They were bigger there than they were here, but they did exist. Just got Elvis's Gold Records vinyl, my ability to read the English language goes down about 30% when I go live. So I'm sorry, I'm even dumber than normal. Just got Elvis's Gold Records Volume 2 for Christmas. Never played it, probably never will. Come on, play that record. I don't like this stuff when people like put stuff on the shelf. I play picture discs, and I think they sound fine. Play that record. That's cool. That's good. I have a Gerard 440 Idler Drive with a Grado Red 2. Audiophile OM2 Red. Unless there's a Grado Red that I don't know about. Maybe there is. Tiny bit fast. Yeah, I guess the changers always do that. I have an Ion Profile Pro Turntable USB. It's fantastic. That's great. I love the look of those. I really do. By the way, thanks and welcome in, Marcus. Cassie says, Heyday Turntable versus LP60. I get these questions a lot, and it's like apples and oranges. That's the thing about it, is it's the LP60 is fully automatic, where the Heyday is fully manual. So it depends on what you want. Of course, you can operate the LP60 manually still. If I was looking at both, I would go with the Audio-Technica all day long, though. I would. I personally don't like the styling of the Heyday as much. I think it looks classy and sleek and minimalistic, and that's cool for people that like that design aesthetic. By the way, it's made by the same company that makes the Best Buy Insignia turntable. What is it called? I say in both of those video reviews. I can't think of what it is, but they make solid stuff. They do some good private label stuff. LP60. I just love that thing. It's compact. The other downside with the LP60 I was going to say is that you can't upgrade the cartridge. It's got the 3600L Audio-Technica on it, which is fine. It's a good basic conical rounded tip stylus. I think for 90 8% of people, there's a perfectly good cartridge. Yes, it's only a $15 cartridge, but replacing the needles is cheap and affordable, and it's just great. It's fantastic. Sounds great. I think that's a great cartridge. I'm glad they're putting it on everything. Hello, Joe says hello from Northern Maine, playing my 1967 Philco. That's awesome. I own a 1960 Philco. That was my grandma and grandpa's on my mom's side's wedding present. 1950, not 60. And it's wood cabinet. It's got a 3-speed changer. The needle's gone. It's got a wonderful tube amp radio in there. Beautiful warm speaker, like a 10-inch speaker. And my dad says I really need to get that thing out of their house. I'm like biding my time. I'm like, I don't have room for it right now, but don't throw away. Don't donate it. Please don't donate it. Love that thing. Every time I hear Philco, that's what I think. Larry says his video and idler drives are very fascinating. Adding or subtracting diameters to the drive pin is an art in itself. It really is. The engineering and design for this stuff is amazing. Wow, you guys are blessing me with so many comments. I'm so thankful. I haven't even got to my point, which is I'm happy to not even have to get to. I will get to my story. I've got a great story for you guys. Where I've been. I've been someplace for the last week. Okay, but I want to get caught up on comments. I don't want to miss anybody. If by chance I miss your comment, that's an accident. Hit it up. Wow, we have 40 people in there. That's amazing. Add it down below. Thumbs up if you wouldn't mind, guys, just to let YouTube know that people are actually watching, which is always good. Bob says, hi and happy new year. It was great to see a cool viewer gifted you the 1964 and 68 RCA Camden Glenn Miller LPs. I was blessed with so many Glenn Miller records lately, you guys. That's my number one collection that I'm proud of, accumulating those. And the second is Patsy Cline. Those are my two things I'm collecting right now. This year I'm endeavoring to collect Bob Hope. Is what I'm on the Bob Hope. No, Bing Crosby. What am I doing? It's like one of their films. But that's kind of my goal for this year. I have them and was going to ask you if you did. I love them so much. Absolutely. Never before an LP theme. Yeah, absolutely. There's some, I need to do another Glenn Miller record collection video where I just show what I've had. It's been a year or so since I've done that, and the collection's probably tripled. I've got some very weird and rare stuff. JD, maybe they need a new motor, run capacitors. And it says, I do plan to get the LP60, but for now I'm using my dad's Pioneer PL518. That's cool. Heard good things about those. Maggie says, is anyone else experiencing a lot of warping with brand new records? Yes, it's very common, very common. Most records you get new are warped. There's two things going on. So when vinyl records went out of fashion, some people say they never did, but to those of us that came from streaming, we know they did. Okay? For the most normal people, records disappeared and we never thought they'd come back. When that happened, the printing presses, all of them pretty much scrapped their presses, which, for the most part hadn't been built since the 60s, and never thought they'd ever need to have them again. Lo and behold, records make a comeback, and there's a vast shortage of printing or pressing plants. Can't talk tonight. And way more demand than they ever thought they'd see again. So it takes a minimum of 6 months to get records pressed. I think that leads to lower quality control. Just in general, vinyl records aren't what they used to be in terms of quality. So that's my assessment as to why that is. There's things you can do. There's things where you can press. Some people can put them in the oven. I need to do a show about that. I have put records in the oven before, but it was to make them into a bowl. I'm looking at one right now. It's full of some junk, so I don't want to show it to you, but I've got a warped record bowl right here. Doesn't take much temp. Don't be doing this without, you shouldn't be doing that, but it can be done, and I've done a video on it. And but there are ways. There's a press thing you can put in the oven. Some people put records between hot glass in the oven, and again, sounds all very dangerous to me. And if you're like me, just stick it in like, a crate with some records for a while, maybe some books on a flat surface for a while. It'll straighten itself out. But yeah, it's pretty common. The good news is with most warpage, you can't hear an issue. Speaking of warpage and the unlikely event that it will distort the audio, there is a preamp from a company called Audiophile. Is that mine right there? No, that's the headphone amp. And it actually has an AI feature that removes distortion due to record warp and platter rumble. It's kind of interesting. Okay. It is definitely becoming a bigger issue. Old Radios is getting his DCC deck fixed. That's awesome. My Yamaha deck is holding out, and I am thankful for that. At the moment, it may have an issue with the record capability. I need to run some tests on it. But right now I've got it set as a pass-through for the reel-to-reel, the Magnavox. So what I have to do is I have to put a tape in there, hit record so the audio passes through, because I ran out of inputs on my switch. Because I don't use a receiver. I use a mechanical Pelican switch, which is back there. And I mechanically switch between my inputs to powered speakers. So I only have 4 inputs. So I've got things looped into stuff. So like the mini disc deck is looped into the tape deck and stuff like that. So, but I noticed the other day when I was hitting record on this for the pass through, it was unselecting itself immediately, which was very, very strange. So I need to see what's going on with that. Bob says, do you have the Glenn Miller LP on Crown? It's very interesting. One great sound from late 60s. I want to say there's a Crown record in there. I'm not 100% sure. It's a little friendly reminder. I'm way behind on comments. Okay. Yes, I'm trying to get caught up here, and I apologize, guys. I got my first turntable for Christmas, Audio-Technica LP60. That's an excellent place to start. Great starting point. And if you never upgrade, then you're doing fine too, because that's just a great turntable. Record-ology, what era are Star Piano 78 records from? I do not know. I've never heard of Star Piano. And 78 records, though, in general, are from pretty much the turn of the century till the 50s. By the 50s, the 78 format sort of died out. Go to discogs.com, discogs.com, enter the number that's on the label and the title, and you should be able to find it maybe even to the day that it was recorded. It's pretty impressive. Check that out. Maggie says, you got me into, I cannot talk. I don't know what my problem is. Just got me. Okay, Maggie says, you got me into Patsy Cline. Love her so much now. Own about 4 records. Awesome. You've been pacified. I read that somewhere. It's like my wife's rolling her eyes right now. Great, you're spreading this to other people. It was one of those artists that I knew of. I knew of her, and I was really into K Star, and I had a handful of her records and really liked her music. And in K Star, I learned of from Glenn Miller. So it all begins with Glenn Miller, because she sang with the Glenn Miller Orchestra back in 1938 for a short period of time. And that led me to Patsy Cline. No, I had just picked up earlier last year, I guess it is now, last March or so, I picked up Patsy Cline Showcase, and I picked it up because it was in the free bin at Second and Charles, and I knew enough to know it was an artist that it'd be good to have one of those records. I thought it was the greatest hits. Little did I know. And so what ended up happening was I finally said, I'm going to listen to this record. And pretty soon I was listening to Patsy Cline and not K-Star very much anymore. And and then I learned the story when I learned about her character and her story and what she had been through. I was just blown away and was a mega fan. And it then became very fun. The first artist that I've really aggressively pursued finding a copy of every record album. The singles, I have 3 or 4. I think I have 3. And that would take a lifetime and a lot of money. But I was able to look out and find a bunch of these records, and then people started gifting me some, and it was just a major blessing. So keep on that journey. And it's great. It's a great story, great music. Okay, I'm not going to talk anymore about Patsy Cline. Unless you ask me something about it. Because then I want to. It's just that a lot of people are like, what are you talking about? Clifton says, Viva Victrola from Jacksonville. Do you work for Victrola? If you do, that's cool. We've had some great experience. We've had some great experiences with Victrola. We have. Old radios, digital compact cassette. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's a format I haven't. I've seen it. I don't know it. I that would be a new one for me. Jaden says, I'll play the Elvis record. Okay, good. See, good. There's no reason. There's so many. Even my best records, I play them because it's like a record is a consumer format designed for listening. It's not archival. Most of the time, all this music exists on tape somewhere or in the digital domain. Now that 99% of tapes burn down, including all of Patsy Cline's masters, all of them gone. Almost like 90% of music artists' source media tapes were destroyed when the clock tower from the Back to the Future set burned to the ground because some idiot contractor was using a propane torch to melt shingles and stick them on, like melt the tar and stick them on. He burned down the whole set. Well, lo and behold, behind it was a vault, which apparently wasn't fireproof, and every master to everything pretty much gone. Patsy Cline's music does not exist in mastered form outside of the digital domain. All of the source tapes are gone for the most part, except for the album reel, meaning this was like a half inch, I think it's a half inch, quarter inch master, quarter inch stereo master for the 1967 Patsy Cline Greatest Hits album was out in Nashville for a project and was not there when the fire burned down everything else. That is why there is this audiophile version of that available. However, they used the old, album reel, direct mastered it to disc, didn't master it, direct copied it into a lathe. And they're saying, you're listening to the master tape. Well, first of all, it's an album reel, so it's a dub. Second of all, if you get the SACD version of Patsy Cline's Greatest Hits, that was mastered prior to the fire, is far superior sonically than the album reel itself. And unfortunately, the guys that made the Audiophile 45 RPM times 2 record set version of that for a pricey sum on 200 gram vinyl, which is too thick. That's too much. Didn't know that or chose not to know that, and now are selling the inferior master at premium prices. Insider tip: if you get the 2016 cheapo version of Patsy Cline's Greatest Hits, is the green album, that uses the same master as the SACD, so it's actually superior. The cheapo version is superior. Yes, I kid you not. Okay. What is? My wife says that Patsy Cline is my safe fling, and I'm behind on comments. Okay. Randy says, I was wondering if it's possible to put sounds of appliances onto vinyl records because I like to change the speed of appliance sounds, and records would allow me to change the speed. Yes, there's companies you can send them anything and they will put it on record for you. I know somebody that does that. My friend Fardamark just made a custom album. It's really cool. A little pricey. Usually they're lathe cut instead of pressed because you can do one-offs easier that way. Thank you guys so very much for being here, by the way. Share it out. Tell a friend. Stay tuned because I got an awesome story if I get to it. I'm so happy that I'm behind on comments. It means people are commenting. So I'm working my way up on comments. Hang in there. I have a Victrola, the Lewis player. They changed all the names to the Victrolas lately. So everything, I don't know these names, but I'm sure I've seen them. And it's pretty nice for $100. That's awesome. They've got some great styling. Josh says, why do you suppose 45s aren't as popular anymore? Places like Walmart carry tons of LPs, but 45s seem to be a niche market. I agree. I don't know. That's a good question. There are some, but it is few and far between. You're right. You're right. Morin says hi. Hey, Morin, welcome in. Morin from Quebec. Awesome. Welcome in. Gary's in there. Hey, Gary. Sorry I'm behind on comments. Bear with me. What's your favorite 78? Man, I don't have a single favorite. Every time I go through my 78s, I'm like, oh, wow, I have a copy of that. That's awesome. This Christmas, I was thankful to have a copy of White Christmas on 78. It was the 1947, not the 1942, but still it was cool. It was from the second White Christmas, Bing Crosby Merry Christmas album. It was, in fact, I don't want to get it out, but it's down there. But yeah, I've got a lot of greats. People have sent me, there's a guy, I don't know if he's on right now, that was sending me the weirdest stuff, like these HMV, beautiful UK pressings of Disney's Snow White. And it was like a story on various records. It was awesome. Why do 7-inch 45s have a bigger hole than a 12-inch 33? Because they were designed as a competing format. Columbia developed the 12-inch LP record, as we know, with a small hole, and RCA developed the 45. Because, I wonder if I can make this thing stretch so you can see it. Because they were trying to, I'm not going to be able to fit it. Okay, I got to pick that up later. It's a house of cards here. I look at stuff wrong and it falls. They were selling RCA was selling a 45 changer with a big hole. It was designed to be a competing format. So it's like VHS and beta. There's differences and whatever. And on top of it, we're going to make them incompatible with each other. So that was the initial impetus. And now, both formats exist from both companies. Pretty soon they said, you know what, both have a place. Let's go for it. The history of why 45s were created as an album format, to have an album of 45s versus an album of 78s, was space saving, and they were compact, they were small, and there was benefits. You could put a lot more music on a stack of, because you weren't limited to the number of records you could put on. But yeah, and again, the big hole is kind of a US thing. In the UK, it's less prevalent. Their 45s often have the small hole. I own a Woodocker, Walk Odor. I always want to call them Woodocker. I know what you're talking about. And I live in San Diego. Well, welcome in, first of all. And that's cool. You have to let me know what you think of it. I've seen those, but I haven't had a chance to review one yet. Warren says, do you know any quality 3-speed turntable cheaper than the Audio-Technica 120 that are similar? And my answer to that would be the similar but cheaper option would be a Crosley C100 made by the same company, hand pin. Downside is that the Crosleys are 2-speed. So you lose that third speed. That's a bummer. I don't know of any of them that are cheaper that have the third speed unless you go down to a all-in-one or a suitcase. And people hate that, but all-in-ones and suitcases are actually really good, including their 5-gram tracking forces for playing 78s. That tracking force is really good. It's actually a benefit for that. But when it comes to like a competing product to the LP120, you have to give up that third speed to get the price down, unfortunately. And by the way, Audio-Technica is just on backstock right now. As with everything, there's a shortage of everything. Don't be laughing that I'm spilling stuff. I do everything. If it was up to my wife, I would also sleep in here, but I work in here. I play in here. I get to hang out with you guys in here. Okay, so that'll be my recommend. Look at this LP120, the C100, or if you want a direct drive like the LP120, the C200. Zion Marley. I've seen some peeps putting CD to a vinyl record player, and it's really cringe. And I'm from the Philippines. Yeah, a lot of cheapo companies are using, especially companies that are doing bootleg record releases, are using CDs as source material. So they don't sound quite as warm and rich as a regular vinyl record. Old radios, I get my 1907 Edison Triumph in June. That's awesome. That's really cool. I need to do more shows with my old phonograph. Rocker 11281. Hi from Germany. Welcome, dude. That's awesome. Michael, welcome from Thailand. That's awesome. Jonathan, hello. Do you know Johnny Mathis? Not personally, but I love his music. Did some Johnny Mathis stuff in December. I got an alternate version of one of his Christmas albums I didn't know existed. It was a stereo version. I had the mono version and it had a different cover. It was cool. But yeah, Johnny Mathis is the GOAT. Michael says, I love Johnny Mathis. Me too. Lawrence, I just received a bunch, 50 late 60s and 70s rock, the original Heart album. That's awesome. By the way, if you're into selling vinyl, rock vinyl is the biggest profit you're going to find overall. And that's why every vinyl record shop is going to have a rock and roll section for the most part, because it's the biggest money maker. I was talking to a owner of a vinyl record shop a few weeks ago, and I'm like, because I personally am not a huge rock and roll fan, not like modern, like post early 60s. I do like the Beatles. I like Elvis. Besides that, I've got Doobie Brothers. I've got, some Eagles stuff, very minimal. I'm not a huge rock and roll person. My passions lie in vintage music, big band music, jazz, all that kind of stuff. And I said to him, I'm like, man, I know you have the rock and roll stuff, but for me personally, I would love it if you had more of this stuff. And he says, well, it's all about the profit for a store, and that's what sells. So, yeah. Nick says, where is the best place or places online to buy records? That's a great question. I've had great luck with Facebook Marketplace, and I like Mercari, the app Mercari, Mercari, and I've bought a few things on there. Those are great places for buying records from people that don't know a lot about records, or just, having an inheritance collection, or they have a record, or you can specifically search for certain things. A lot of people swear by Discogs. I just haven't bought records on Discogs. I don't know why. I guess I found everything I'm looking for elsewhere. I don't primarily buy a lot of records online. Part of this channel's thing was all about searching and hunting, and that's really what it's been about. So usually I'm at a store, at a shop, at a thrift store, at an antique store, whatever, looking and discovering, and that thrill of the hunt, the discovery, that aha moment when you find something you've been looking for, versus, going out surgically, seeking out titles. Now, when I was, really getting into the Patsy Cline records, that I did start doing that, because I was like, I need a copy of this. I want the stereo version of that. And I did go out and start buying them. And again, if you're on Discogs or even eBay is a risk, because a lot of times they'll arrive broken. People don't know how to pack stuff. My friend Fardermark recently bought his first V-Disc, and which I love V-Disc. I finally got one. One of you guys gave me one. It was a Glenn Miller one too. And 90% of V-Discs are pressed in vinyl, even though they're from the 40s. But a small percentage were pressed by Columbia on shellac. And the one he got ended up being on shellac. They packed it in an LP mailer, which isn't sufficient for a shellac record, and it came cracked. So that's a risk you take. And that's heartbreaking. I have only one record that's warped. That's great. Shrink wrap warps records. Again, that's something I learned too along the way from you guys, is when I would get a record that had shrink wrap, I'm like, oh, cool. It's still got a shrink wrap on. Leave it on. Apparently the shrink wrap keeps shrinking and, will bow your record. So take that shrink wrap off as soon as you can. Rocker 11281 says, I think you didn't share enough love for Dual. You really should get one refurbished. It's awesome. Engineering piece of art, very unique designs, up to 78. I don't know if you saw the series we did on Dual. I fought a duel and lost, or something is what I called it. So a friend of mine from work had a Dual 12 something. I forget what it was. It was like a 1973, 74 model. And you're right. They're like clocks. They're like mechanical, mostly mechanical. It's like a clock. It's like a German engineered clock. They're amazing engineering. But this thing I destroyed this thing because I put it in the back of my SUV. In the back, don't store stuff that you don't want broken behind the rear axle, because it bounces. If you want something safe, put it behind the driver's seat or in the back seat at a minimum. Well, I, being an idiot, put it in the back. And by the time I got home, it had rattled, probably 10% of the parts had been, popped out of place. I am completely novice to duels at this point in my life. Had to literally get out the schematics and painstakingly try to not ruin this friendship because I destroyed this guy's record player who sent it home with me to try out. Made some shows on that. You should watch them. Yeah, I mean, people love the duels. They love their duels. If I'm in a kind of a changer 70s mood, I'll get out my Gerard. Is it a Gerard? No, Glenburn. Every time I've said Gerard during the show, I meant Glenburn. My Glenburn changer, which is basically a BSR made by a company that was spun off by the founder of BSR to make basically the same turntable. And it's a good turntable. Yeah. Very similar to a duel. That's probably going to piss off some duel people. It's similar. A little more plastic, a little less metal, but still an engineering marvel. So behind on comments, guys. I'm working my way through it, and then I'll quickly recap my story that I thought I'd be talking about this whole time. I did not know that I have 51 awesome people out there, all of them with awesome comments and questions. So keep them coming. I love doing this stuff. I've been looking forward to doing this for a week. John says, which is more valuable, stereo, mono versions? It depends. I've never been into vinyl for the value, so I don't know that much about record value. I can tell you that mono releases sometimes are desirable because for a time in the late 50s and early 60s, record companies had their best engineers design or master the audio for the mono pressings versus the stereo mixes, because at that time, for a short time period of less than 10 years, mono is what was selling records, because that's what radio stations are playing and people were buying for the most part. Stereo was a novelty. It's like 3D televisions. It was like for the ultra rich kind of, people that were really into that, only stereo. It wasn't that. They would actually have their lesser engineers do the stereo mastering. So there are some people that know this, and for, we're talking like 1964, 65 and earlier, sometimes the mono is the one to get. How that impacts value, I don't know. It's all about value. Always comes down to how many were made and how many are left, and what the draw is for it at this point. Again, not my specialty, unfortunately. John Egan, welcome. So glad to have you in from New Jersey. Larry says, good inner sleeve, flat on the counter, heavy book or two on top. That's a great idea to help with warpage. Josh says, you can get a weight to put on your warped records while you play them. Audio-Technica sells them. We've reviewed them. And that's another way to do it. Usually, if you have an outer edge warp, which is what the new vinyl usually has a problem with, a weight doesn't usually help that much with it. A little bit. Kieran Cowling, hope I'm saying that right. I got an AT LP60X USB for Christmas, first turntable ever in my life. It plays good. I feel like I've read this comment already. If you've said it and I didn't respond, I apologize. But that's awesome. Great turntable. Maggie says, Josh Williams, I've tried that. It definitely helps. Good. You're talking to each other. I like this. Yes. Everybody talk amongst yourselves. This is good. Engage. We're a community, dang it. Engage. Wayne says, do you think a Cassette-ology channel? Oh, man. I don't want to start another channel. It's so much work, you guys. It's so much work. We do a lot of cassette stuff. The most I would ever do is just keep funneling things into a separate playlist. And I try to keep everything in playlist. By the way, if you don't know, we have playlists. But another channel, I don't know if I got another YouTube channel in me, you guys. I don't know if I do. I started this channel in 2017, and it was not my first endeavor, but it was my first endeavor to do this. That sounds cryptic. I had done broadcast for years. I had done television. I had done film. My wife and I are award-winning filmmakers, television producers. But I wanted a YouTube show. I wanted an informal, down and dirty, not polished, about the relationship channel. And that's what this has been about. And when I started the channel, I know the old timers are like, he's telling the story again. I talked to Tecmo. I talked to Vinylize. I talked to Via Westlife. I talked to the Victrola guy. And I said, look, I don't know what I'm doing. I want your advice. Help me, help a newbie. And every one of them had the same advice. Be patient. It's going to take a long time. And they were right, because, our channel growth has been a blessing, but it's slow. It's slow, and it takes a lot of work, and it's time consuming. Record-ology, I love it. And I have thought about that. I've tossed around that name before. I don't know. Whatever it's going to be done, it's going to be done under this umbrella. But I like the idea. Old radios. I got a mini disc deck last month. It works great. You got one of the rare ones that works still. I have such bad luck with mini disc. This deck right here, MD510, I think it is plays perfectly. It records for 40 minutes, 45 minutes or so, and then it corrupts. So I no longer have my portable LP machines, which I miss. I regret not having those anymore because I loved the LP format. So my portable, I've had 3 bad portables. They all have problems. So you got a good one. That's a blessing. I think it's a cool format. I never had it. It was too expensive when they were new. So, they're still expensive. Lawrence Weston says, I dig your videos. They seem to be for the average person. Yeah. Thank you so much, Lawrence. I appreciate it. And you're right. We're trying to just do the average. There's so many people that go, and I'm not going to name names, but if you know, you know. How many YouTube channels on records, or specifically reviewing tech, hate whatever they're reviewing before they've even reviewed it? And the whole show is about, I'm going to figure out what's wrong with this thing and totally rip it to shreds. If it has any problem, I'm just going to rip it out. For some reason, the attitude is just very negative. My whole channel is purpose built around being, optimistic and open and geared towards the beginner and the entry level, because, most people can't afford super expensive stuff. And, there's a place for them in record collecting. And a lot of the information out there about things will damage things will ruin things are crap, et cetera, et cetera. It's just bad energy. And so our channel is trying to be the opposite of that. So thank you for noticing. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Take that shrink wrap off ASAP. Larry says, I agree. Cole says, hey, I'm new here. Is record weight necessary to use while playing? First of all, welcome. Thank you so much, Cole. No, it's not necessary. In fact, a lot of people think it's bad because it can put strain on the motor. There's another kind of version of that called a clamp, which doesn't weigh anything. It just kind of screws down on. Some people think that's terrible too. Welcome to Record Players. Everything that you think is just an opinion, everybody else thinks it's fact. Everybody will tell you different ways to do stuff. You're wrong at all. That's why there's so much negativity. Is that there's so many people. No, you don't do that. You never do this. You always do this. No, you don't do that. You do this. Nobody agrees on like 80% of record stuff. So some people swear by clamps. Some people hate clamps. Some people swear by weights. Some people, I've never. The benefit of a weight is so minuscule that you have to be one of these microscope looking at your stylus kind of guys with $100,000 worth of cabling and, speakers that you could take a, mortgage out to pay for kind of thing. If you're one of those guys, if you're a Michael Framer kind of person, no disrespect, he has commented on my videos before. My CDs versus vinyl video got his attention. I respect him. We differ in our opinions, but he's an expert and I respect that. If you're a Michael Framer kind of guy, an audiophile, then you may pick up nuances and things. If you're somebody that listens to vinyl at night because the power's cleaner, that's a thing. I'm not even joking. Then you would be probably one that would benefit from that. I did a show a long time ago. I've done many shows about weights, but almost 900 shows now, you guys. I can't believe it. And I'm like, we tested it. We're like, can you hear a difference? Can you hear a difference? The closest analogy I could come to was if you put earbuds in your ear and you push the earbuds in a little bit, the sound changes. It's kind of like doing that to a record, but it's so minuscule. It's so minuscule. So that's definitely like, they look cool. That is probably a bigger benefit than any sound impact. Old radios. I have an LP 120 I bought in 2018. Stanton 500. I need to do stuff on Stantons. People swear by those. I have a 78 from 1904. It's a bigger hole than normal, but smaller than 45. So what's the best way to play it? Modify something with some putty, some silly putty or something. I need to do a show about that. Somebody was selling some of those on Facebook Marketplace a couple months ago. Basically, what it was is early days of 78s, they hadn't agreed on a format. And so the standards didn't exist. So the speeds were different and some of the hole sizes were a little bit different. So there were some of these weird hole sizes, and that's a holdover from that. But to play them, just mod something with some putty, or if you want to get really fancy, then, maybe some plastic, chisel down like a 45 adapter or something. I need to do a show about that. That's cool, though, that you have those. I also have an ADC AccuTrack turntable with remote control. That's awesome. Sounds like a linear tracking one. That's cool. Still haven't bought a new 78 needle. The Audiophile OM78 needle is fantastic. Too bad I broke mine. The cantilever snapped. I need to get that replaced. The Haunted Coachman. Cool name. Hello, I didn't know you were live. I have a suitcase player from Richitech, and I love it. Have about 15 records so far. Welcome. That's awesome. Cool. Welcome in. Thank you for joining. So what's a good turntable for $300 to $500? That's in that range you can really get something good. It's so much preference. I'm just going to tell you some of my favorites. In that range, you can get an LP3 from Audio-Technica. It's the best automatic that I've encountered yet. In that range, you can get an LP120, which is arguably one of the best manuals I have encountered yet. The Audio-Technica line is fantastic. I love their products, and they do a great job. And it's hard to find them right now because of the back order issue, but those are a couple that I would look for. There are some in the upper $500 range. If you like the minimalistic, kind of like, very minimalistic look, a lot of design element centric devices exist in that $400 and $500 range. But I personally love a big mechanical looking ugly turntable with a lot of controls on it. That's why I like an LP120X. You get a pitch slider, you've got strobe on there, you've got a cueing light, all this stuff. I love that stuff. That's my preference. There's so much out there. There's so much out there. Keep in mind, a record player spins a record. That's all it does. It spins a record. If it spins it, if you're spending over 150, 100, even if you get an LP120 or an LP60, then you're spinning accurately. That's the job of a turntable. Once you do that, you're just listening to your cartridge. It's true. And then you can look at cartridges. And again, everything from the LP of the, what is it? The L35, 3600L and up, they sound great. As a rule of thumb, my opinion, again, because I'm wrong, guaranteed I'm wrong, but my opinion on the hundreds of things I've listened to, when it comes to cartridges, I have extensive experience with Audio-Technica, Audiophile, and Grado. I need to go to bed. I'm very tired. You may be saying why. It's only 7:45 there. Explain why when I get to my story in a minute, which I will get to. Audio-Technicas are neutral sounding by and large. Grados are warm sounding by and large. And Audiophiles are cool but accurate sounding by and large. That's my guiding principle in terms of, when I think I have a Shure. It's my one and only Shure that's on my Gerard. Nope. Glenburn. So I don't know enough about it to develop an opinion, especially on the brand. It's just one. To me, it sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty neutral. Stanton, same thing. I don't have any Stantons, so I can't comment on that. I just use my micro groove needle for my 78 still. I find a 3 mil. Yeah, it's fine. It's really not gonna. It's fine. It just won't sound as full. Gary, keep it as your fault. I picked up a Glenn Miller CD set and a Bing Crosby LP. Hey, good. I'm glad, Gary. That's cool. Never play a 78 record with a normal stylus. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Clifton says, no, thanks to you, I feel like a Victrola shareholder. Don't we all, right? Old radios Was it a United or a Harmony disc record? Oh, he's asking the other guy with the large holes. Yeah, Harmony, I think, was one of the ones that did that. Should I buy a dog or a cat? Definitely a dog. With the 1904 one, the Harmony disc, probably a record for Columbia Client Machine. Oh, that's interesting. Haunted Coachman today. I got my order from HMV. Yellow vinyl, Sound of Music. Cool. That's cool. HMV exclusive limited edition number 52. Cool. Maggie says, have you ever heard of a record reamer? I just got one for Christmas. It helps with a common issue of new records with spindle holes too small. I think I've seen those. Yeah, I think I have seen those. That's cool. You see the movie Sweet Dreams. I've seen clips of it. I just can't get over somebody else singing as Patsy Cline besides Patsy Cline. There are a couple people that do a good job. In fact, one lady just got admitted into the Grand Ole Opry, but it's like I have the original. Unless I was seeing a live show, I could see, because my wife thinks that like the shows where they have reenactors and stuff are stupid, but I like the idea. I went to this Red Skelton show with this impersonator guy. It was amazing. Tom Mullican. The guy was great. He passed away, but he was spot on. Red Skelton. You're not going to experience one in person, but through him and his talent, you were able to. That is one. That's the one time I would see, like, I would like an impersonator of Patsy Cline, because it would be like experiencing it in person. But in terms of recordings, the real thing exists. But no, I have seen clips of them. I may break down and see it. I have read the book, the one that came out in the early. It was a revised version of the one that came out in the early 80s, Honky Tonk Angel, which was the first and only biography I read, and don't intend on reading anymore about her life. And it was she lived a very wild and unorthodox life, especially early on, and made some mistakes, but still a fascinating story. I have a standard X disc machine that plays certain large spindle discs, but I got an adapter. That's awesome. A Victrola 8-in-1 mid-century and would like to use a better needle. Is there any? Not really. Unfortunately, just make sure yours has a metal cantilever and a rubber boot at the bottom of the cantilever and is diamond tipped. And that is the best that'll ever be, which isn't bad. It's just, ceramic cartridges are just harsh, and, it's just a harsher sound. It's a different technology. It's an older cartridge technology. There's nothing wrong with it per se, but on you're limited by that mechanism to that. So that's a small upgrade, but it's not going to sound any different. It's just going to last longer. Benito Camelo says, should I buy Ethereum or Bitcoin? No comment. I don't know anything about that stuff. My son does. My son owns some Bitcoin. Do not take that as an endorsement. I think it's I'm not going to talk about that. Old Radio says, I can do that when I get my acetate disc recorder from the repairman. That's cool. A disc recorder. That would be fun to get into. Jade says, have you ever been to the hamburger restaurant at Kennywood because they have a jukebox? I have not. Kennywood in the comments are from Pittsburgh. Larry with an awesome exclusive comment bar there says, become a member and enjoy more comments. Spin wax. Thank you, Larry. Do join the Vinyl Nation, you guys. There's links in a lot of the videos, or you can go up to the membership tab and click there. Join us for an extra show every week, exclusive Friday show, and exclusive chat sometimes, which I need to do more of those. I got the RCA Victor 78 soundtrack of Snow White. That's awesome. Matthew says in the UK, we never got 7-inch singles with a big hole. I know, that's weird. Actually, ours are probably weird. Jaden says, hey, just got here. How are you doing, Jaden? I'm awesome. I know I'm behind on comments. Welcome in and thank you. If they needed to be in a jukebox that is stamped out, I've seen some that could be stamped out but haven't been yet. Interesting. Walkoder has a great built-in speakers, quality sound. That's great to hear. I need to check that out. Jacob NRZ, hi, welcome in. Larry says 45 big hole loud for easy stacking on record changers. I really wish I could show you the 45 changer right now. I've got 1950 or 1949 45J from RCA right there. Oh, I have some 78 Bible Tone records. I might have heard of them. Also one called the Moppets. I mean, assuming they're kids' records, that's cool. 7-inch dinking. to pop out that hole. Frederick, Staten Island, New York. Welcome in. Thank you so much. Shadowbox Graphics, hi from British Columbia. Welcome in. Thank you so much. Jaden says, I got an old turntable from a garage sale that plays 78s, 33s, 45s, have 8-track player too. Wow, that's cool. Is that like one of those clarinet realistic units? Those are neat. Cody says, hello from New Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Welcome in. Thank you so much. Jacob says, hey, I want to upgrade my suitcase player, first turntable. What's a good second turntable? It's under $100. LP60X. If you find new old stock or even a used LP60 first gen, you can't beat it. It's great. Old videos like Half Moon, Peace Gun, Layer, the dual video. Yeah, that's awesome one. Thank you so much. My very first turntable was a dual CS505, says Matthew. That's cool. Same goes for cylinders. I opened the cylinder box and saw in pieces. Cylinders, I started out the seed for this channel started when I was watching the Victrola guy and was fascinated with cylinder phonographs, and it grew from there. That's where it all started. But I've never been brave enough to get into the mold and stuff. My son and I having asthma, not good. He's shaving off like molded cylinders and stuff. It would not be good. Go through a lot of trouble to have clean air in our house. I have 3 duels. I saw that episode, broke my heart. Sorry. I'm sorry. I know it was my fault. All late model versions 67 or 68 are desirable. That's cool. Hey, gotta go. Sorry. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you for joining. Old radios, stereo was better in reel-to-reel. Stereo, well, yeah, because in reel-to-reel you get true stereo separation. Whereas a vinyl record, the lower frequencies weren't really stereo. The lower the tone, the lower the sound, they were not as stereo. They were not as the higher sounds were fully stereo. My battery's running low. All right, we're gonna have to cut it. Battery's gonna force me to stop. So how much I got? 19 minutes, which won't really last that long. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. Yeah, stereo on a reel-to-reel is fantastic. The imaging is fantastic. Okay, I do not want to miss anyone. Matthew says, in the U.S., someone bought the dual name and selling cheapo car stereos. Yeah, my son had one. Matthew also says, Rocker, in the original cartridge of the dual 1210, you have a stylus. You simply have to turn the needle fitting for 78. It should be around refurbished for 100 to 200. Yeah, those are cool. I do have a flip stylus on my classroom player. Team Reality Check. What's your preference for anti-static, Matt? I like acrylic, just a slice of acrylic. I got my white acrylic on my white platter. I mean, a white turntable. It's awesome. I love it. Cork and rubber. Oh, check out our show on platter mats. We test them all out. Thank you so much for being there. I appreciate it. I need to check out the cork plus rubber. I have one of those. I need to do that. Never use a turntable to fix imperfections. It's only a player, nothing more, nothing less. Exactly. Thank you, Larry. Cody says there's a radio station near where I live that plays 60s hits, and the stereo mixes their player hard to find. That are atrocious. I prefer. Okay, got you. Okay, that's good to know. That's cool. What's the station? Put it in the thing. I'd like to check it out. You can check it out on TuneIn. Roger says might be an option for some here. I want to spend 78 cents quality turntable, affordable in the 1820. Okay, that's a good tip. I'm a 2017 subscriber. I think the Victrola guy made a cylinder for you, and I joined. Yeah, if you check my trailer. He cut a custom cylinder for me. That's true. And I did my welcome on wax. That was cool. Those are old days. Welcome in. And thank you for being there. Now, at least when it pop started and the stereo was awful, the mono mixes were variable better. It's good to know. That's what I've heard. One of the earlier subscribers, Old Radios. Thank you. Matthew in Germany, you can. My mini disc is MDS HE440. That's more advanced than mine. The Haunted Coachman says you can get a machine to flatten out warp records. I've seen those. I like my tech, says like Gary. Larry says audiophile snubs kill the fun of record playing. I agree. Amen to that. They get mad if you play an acoustic record on the. Yeah. Church. Buying on Discogs can be hit or miss. Really should check out the comments before. Okay, good to know. Audio fools. Why do 78s require a different stylus? Because the groove is wider. It's a wider channel. So if you have a modern stylus, a micro groove, It's like a tiny needle in a big groove. Whereas if you get a 78 stylus, it fills the groove, so the sound is a lot better. Otherwise, it's very scratchy sounding and distant. And there's arguably will damage the record or the stylus, but you guys have already talked about all this. I'm late to the party. Matthew says I like Michael Framer, but I think a lot of audiophile stuff is snake oil. That's a lot of people's opinions. Don't necessarily disagree. There are exceptions. Most audience are not microgroove. That's true. Betamax. What can I do about records that fit too tightly on the spindle? We were just talking about that a minute ago. There's a reamer thing that kind of drills it out a little bit. If you're like me, just firmly push down. A couple times it'll open up a little bit. That's annoying, isn't it? I need to get a Sony PCM-F1 to record digital music on Betamax. That'd be cool. Boy, my broadcast days, we were all beta. Dang it, I lost my place. Gosh, I'm running out of battery time here, guys. I'm sorry. Now I have 12 minutes. Wow, it's growing. The battery's increasing power. That's great. Dang it, I lost my place. Okay, I'm going to hold my finger down here. Okay, there we go. I got my place again. I worked for Sony. Wow. I am still pissed we lost the VCR war. But you got it. You lost it in the consumer space, but broadcast, I want to get my hands on a secondhand UMV deck, a Beta SP deck, because I've got a lot of stuff from my broadcast days on Beta that I would like to transfer. Plus, Beta SP, for those that don't know, is like metal tape. So if you know the analog tape, it's metal formulation, so it's a higher quality tape. And yeah. There were other differences too, but Beta SP was fantastic. Fantastic. First season of our show, we shot on Beta SP on a Sony Hyperhead. It was an amazing camera. And that was when HD was really starting to really just kick off. You couldn't spot, the difference between this Hyperhead shooting analog on metal Beta SP to a digital high def mini disc or mini DV tape at that time. Absolutely fantastic quality. And I go back to Beta. I go back to U-matic 3/4 inch tape. That's how old I am. Josh Williams, look up Record Reamer. Oh, cool. Thanks for the tip for him. Really into good hi-fi sound, but there's a lot of expensive voodoo around. There is. The record magnet that we reviewed. Analog Planet. That would be Michael Framer's brand. A lot of cool comments coming in. I'm glad you guys are chatting with each other. I hope to get a Quasar VR 1000. Take a look at those chunky tapes. V-chord. That's true. The 50, 60 hertz power issue, that's an issue. Crystal carts are harsher and dead most of the time. Yeah, I got a crystal. For my 45J was already upgraded to a Audio-Technica magnetic, but my what's the other J2? My 45J2 RCA had a crystal cart, and I upgraded it to just a modern ceramic because it was dead. I don't think any of the crystal carts survived. If you find one, it's very rare. 9 and 1949 restored first 45. The Beatles said they heard American music from 45 singles brought to Liverpool from sailors in 45 jukeboxes. That's cool. I love the story of the Beatles sitting around Elvis Presley in Graceland in a half circle, Indian style on the floor, listening to a story. Matthew says in the UK, turntables were not often sold with a 45 adapter. They were not needed. Exactly. James says there are plenty of vintage turntables on eBay, many non-working. Man, I don't like buying broken stuff. My friend Fardermark loves it. He'll fix it up. It's just above my pay grade. I mean, unless it's very basic, you guys, I don't know anything. All right, we need to wrap it up. We've been going almost an hour and a half. I was at the outset wanting to go an hour. So I'm happy to do it. I just feel like I'm wasting your time. I'm glad to do it. I just lose myself in this. It's so much fun. Cool. 103.3 FM. I'll check that out. James. Paul, beta SP tapes were not cheap back in the day. Exactly. I want a DVHS machine someday. That's cool. Sony U-matic tape cartridges were used at hotels for showing house. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I worked in hotels for a time too. Okay, cool. All right. I think I made it to the bottom of the list. If I missed your comment, I apologize. Story time, really quickly, like 5 minutes or less story time because my battery's dying. We have been out of town for a week. We have been in Florida. We went to Orlando. We drove all over Florida. We went to Boca Raton. We went to Cape Coral. We went to 3 of the Disney parks. We went to Universal. And an absolute blast. And I've shot some intros from those locations, like 2 or 3 intros. So don't freak out that I'm out of town in these next few videos. I am not. And my killer guard dog is also here. Just want to put that out there. And the fatal security system and bodyguards and all that stuff too. Anyway, we're here, but we've been away, and I filmed some intros and stuff, and it was a blast. The new Galaxy's Edge at Hollywood Studios, Disney. You guys, if you're Star Wars fans, it is like being there. I can't describe the scope and the scale. It's insane. The rides they have there, calling them rides is doing them an injustice. Experiences,